Hello, Recovery family. This is Get Right, Lisa's Sunday edition. During the week, I bring you fitness, and on the weekend, I bring you my other side, and that's creativity. For me, it's a dimension of recovery, right? I've said this before, but in case you haven't been on another live, to me, I think of my recovery as a wheel. At the hub is me. Recovery is all about me, although it positively impacts those around me, particularly my family, because I'm a better human and easier to deal with for sure. It's about me. That's where I get to be selfish, but off of that hub are many spokes, right? And I need all of them to move forward with that wheel. I don't know if any of you rode bicycles or dirt bikes or something else out there, but when you break a spoke, you can get away with it for a little while before your tire gets lopsided and there's all kinds of damage. And that's how recovery is for me. So I need to honor my fitness. I need to take care of my body even when I'm not in the gym. I have to honor my recovery community. They build me up, support me, and give me something positive to believe in and hope for. And I also need to feed that creative side. Fortunately, if that's not incentive enough, I am going to share with you, bear with me, it's my first time sharing a screen on this format. Hopefully you can see what we have here. So this is Friends of Recovery from New York in partnership with New York State Oasis. They're doing a Recovery Fine Arts Festival where you can submit one of each, but no more than one for each category. So you can submit a poetry or a drawing or a painting or a photograph or mixed media, or you could do one of each. And the way that you do it is on the guidelines, which I will put in the chat for you. And it's due August 18th, but they are going to do a Recovery Fine Arts Festival. It's going to be done all digitally because we don't know where we'll be when the recovery conference comes around. But they do want to honor that. So today we are going to be working on our possible submissions to that entity. Hopefully you could see it, but again, if not, I'm not used to sharing screens yet. You could always put it, you can always click on the link in the chat. Anyways, that being said, today's focus for writing is recovery and poetry. Even if you've never written a poem in your life, also, if you never intend to write a poem, including today, I think the activities we're doing will still be valuable, and I hope that you find that to be true and agree with me. So the first thing I want you to do is just take a big deep breath and think of the word recovery. What does that mean to you? I mean, I guess accidentally I already shared you one of the ways I think about recovery, but the wheel analogy is not the only way. So I'm going to walk you through 5 really quick prompts to kind of just get your ideas out there. And this is just idea building, nothing more, nothing less. So go ahead and get whatever you write with handy. I will say there is a lot of research out there that the active process of writing with a pen or pencil, like putting it to paper, has a more cathartic effect than typing. However, typing has the advantage because you can get more out. So wherever you are, whoever you are, do what works for you. Go ahead, grab your writing utensil, and what we're going to do is 1-minute bursts. I'm going to give you a prompt. So the first one's going to be words you associate with recovery. It's hard for me to separate them. And with this, you're just going to put out as many words as you can for 1 minute. Again, it's brainstorming. We're trying to tap into that creative part of our brain, so we don't want to get too caught up on making it perfect or doing it just right. That's why I'm choosing intentionally to give you 1 minute. Now, as we go through the prompts, you can continue to list, or you can write out sentences. You can do a mix of both. It's going to work no matter what format you choose. Since this is pre-recorded, I can't answer your questions. However, I will be checking in on comments, and always feel free to message me if you have any questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as I get an opportunity. So let's go ahead and start. Enough of me yapping. Time for writing. So prompt number 1, when I say recovery, what words come to mind? Go ahead and write your answers down. All right. Go ahead and stop. Deep breath. If you have more that you want to say, that's great because we have more writing to do. We're going to shift gears, right? We want to tap on that creative brain, which isn't going to hold on to perfection. It's going to move quick. Prompt number 2. Tell me a story or description of a person that embodies recovery. I'm going to start the timer. This person can be you. It can be a general description or a specific moment that when you think of it, that's what recovery is to you. All right, go ahead and pause. Shake your fingers out just to give you some time to separate. For me, I did this in advance so I could play along. Some words I associate with recovery are difficult, strong, resilience, gratitude, connection. And I share those because those words come out in my other examples. For the second prompt, a story of a person, I talked about a time when I was counting on someone in my life to show up for me for a special event, and due to their own issues and being in active use, this human didn't show up, and I was sad, and I was venting to a friend who's in recovery, and instead of saying that sucks, that friend said, I'm really sorry the human you were counting on is struggling right now. And that was so important because in recovery we learn some humility and some empathy. We're not going to point fingers. We're going to try to understand, or at least for me, that's something that embodies recovery. Hopefully the fast pace has got you feeling creative, because prompt number 3 is a natural element and or cycle that reminds you of recovery. So it could be an object in nature or an animal or thing in nature that reminds you of recovery, or some type of cycle, like a season, the water cycle, whatever that is. So again, you can list it out like bullets with why, or you can just free write for a minute. Go. All right, go ahead and stop. I chose spring because it's kind of like a rebirth, and my sobriety date is my second birthday. It gave me a new life. Plus, I was thinking in New York, you never know if spring weather is going to be more like winter, more like a spring, or more like summer. And that's how recovery is. You kind of bounce forward and backwards and so on and so forth. And the summer, like spring days, kind of keep me focused on the gifts that are going to come to me if I stick with it. Likewise, the next one I'm going to share with you, I'm going to be really transparent. I'm uncomfortable with the example that I used. The prompt is a household chore that is like recovery. The first one that came to mind for me was cleaning, because you have to keep up with it continually. The minute where you're like, I can let that pile of things sit there for a couple of days, it allows other piles to sit there, and then the couple of days can turn into more, and that's just how it builds. And for me, that's how recovery is too. And I like the idea of cleaning house. However, stigma is real. And when we think of the word clean and addiction side by side, I think most people are going to associate like a clean screen or, are you clean? And that bothers me. I don't want to perpetuate stigma because what that does is it sets up an opposite effect, right? If you're not clean, then you're dirty. And that doesn't sit well with me. I would hope not with most of the recovery community, but I'm not in charge of people's thinking or feelings. But when I think of myself in active use, I don't think of dirty. I don't identify with dirty. And I already had enough shame. I certainly don't need other labels on there to make me feel worse. So yeah, maybe if you're out there listening, you could give me some feedback. Like, what is another way to talk about the process of cleaning your house without really using that charged or stigma-filled word? I digress. It's your turn. You can use cleaning in a different way, or you can come up with another chore. What is a household chore that is like recovery? Go. And finish that up. One last prompt. What about something concrete to represent recovery for you? It could be an object, it could be a place, it could be a thing. So some stuff I came up with is like the clubhouse that recovery is housed in Rochester, New York, over there on Dewey Ave. It used to be a fire hall, which fire halls do lots of things for their communities. And then it was vacant, and then it got repurposed into some other entities, and I don't know the whole entire history, but I do know now it's a safe haven where we can go to connect with our recovery community and just be our genuine selves and feel safe and supported there. So I think that's great, because recovery for me, who I am as a person, my essence is great. Just like the fire hall's there to serve people. I have gone through some remodeling, some of the versions of myself I don't want to revisit, but they taught me things about life. I don't know about the history of the building, but not all of them were to serve the community. I do know that. And here we are, building on the foundation of what was, going back to the essence of ourselves and creating a new life that we're proud of, and giving back to the people we we connect to and care about. So for me, that actual building represents recovery itself. But I also think like the trail and hiking, and there's lots of different options. So now it's your turn to write down what yours are. Spend 1 minute journaling and or listing objects, places, and things you associate with recovery. All right. Finish up and set the pen down. I've said this on every writing broadcast I've done, and I'll continue to say it. As much space as you can put between yourself and a draft that you write, the better. Because our brain just fills in the blanks and sees what it means to be there. Here's another example of this. Are you ever talking to somebody and you say something and they're like, wait, what? And you're like, didn't I say blah, blah, blah? And they're like, no, I heard blue, blue, blue. And it's like, oh, well, I meant blah. I know it's kind of a weird example, but the things that come out of our mouth are not always exactly what's in our head. Vice versa, the things people hear are not always exactly what come out of our mouth, because our brains are continually interpreting and predicting, right? They move so quickly and process so fast that they often don't listen to everything or read everything because they're filling in the blanks. So when writing is fresh, your brain's filling in the blanks. This is what I meant to say. This is what I meant it to sound like. When you remove yourself, you allow kind of a reset and you can look at it with your own fresh eyes. Pro tip, you can also change the font. If you're typing, change it to a completely different font. Like if you were in Times New Roman, do Comic Sans, and boom, all of a sudden it looks totally different. And you're like, whoa. And it kind of tricks your brain into that reset process. But anyways, before we get there, I wanted to share with you a poem because we are focusing on poems today. And I know that gives people anxiety. So afterwards, I'm going to give you 3 different ways to go about crafting your own poem. But I think it's important to kind of expand our definition of what poetry is. So if you're not reading it, you might think, oh, it has to rhyme, or it has to fit in a certain box. It has to have lots of metaphors. It has to be super abstract. Poetry is, gosh, I can't even think of an analogy to describe how vast and personal it is. It's very different for everybody. So what I did was I went and found a poem that is not about recovery particularly, but I think it's pertinent and pleasant and maybe a style that not everyone is familiar with. So we're going to take a break from our own writing, consume somebody else's, and then we'll come back. One of the 3 options I'm going to give you is to use a professional poem as a model. You could use this one. Or if you had another poem that you knew and loved, you could go to that and kind of use it as a structural model. But this one is called Ode to the Present by Pablo Neruda. He's world-renowned, best of the best, right? So this is a standard way up there. If we're talking fitness, this is your Olympic athlete that's going to be winning year after year. It's a shoo-in, right? But hopefully you'll find some things in there that you can grab out and hang on to. And I'm using it selfishly as a personal reminder today. I'm going to try sharing my screen again. Hopefully it works. If not, you could always just Google Ode to the Present by Pablo Neruda. And he has odes to all kinds of things. All right. This present moment, smooth as a wooden slab, this immaculate hour, this day, pure as a new cup from the past. No spiderweb exists. With our fingers, we caress the present. We cut it according to our magnitude. We guide the unfolding of its blossoms. It is living, alive. It contains nothing from the unrepairable past, from the lost past. It is our infant, growing at this very moment, adorned with sand, eating from our hands. Grab it. Don't let it slip away. Don't lose it in dreams or words. Clutch it, tie it, and order it to obey you. Make it a road, a bell, a machine, a kiss, a book, a caress. Take a saw to its delicious wooden perfume and make a chair. Braid its back, test it, or then build a staircase. Yes, a staircase. Climb into the present. Step by step, press your feet onto the resinous wood of this moment. Going up, going up. Not very high, just so you repair the leaky roof. Don't go all the way to heaven. Reach for apples, not the clouds. Let them fluff through the sky, skimming passage into the past. You are your present, your own apple. Pick it from your tree, raise it in your hand. It's gleaming, rich with stars. Claim it. Take a luxurious bite out of the present and whistle along the road of your destiny. Ugh, I just love it so much. I hope you do too. But if not, that's okay. I own my nerdiness. So I love that poem for our particular activity because you might be saying to yourself, like, how am I going to take all of these things that relate to recovery and put them into something? Well, if you notice, he talked about all different things. The present moment is like a road. It's something you travel, but you have to pay attention to while you're driving. It's like stairs you climb, but don't be in too much of a rush or you'll miss out. He compared it to like delicious fruits, like an apple that you could eat. Yeah, so if you have a bunch of images and metaphors that you really enjoy and appreciate, don't feel like you have to stick to one. So let's get to the actual writing. If you are, let's simplify it. I know we're more vast than this, but let's put ourselves in 3 categories. 1, poetry terrifies me. I don't want to do this and I don't know I'm doing this, or something along those lines. 2, kind of scared of poetry, but I'm not unfamiliar with it. I've tried writing a few times. I'm like, okay. 3, I'm either new to poetry and feeling wide open, or I'm not new to poetry and I want to just start with a poem. So let's begin there. In a moment, if you're number 3 and you're just ready to go, chomping at the bit, when I set a timer for the writing activity, you're just going to do free write, free verse poem. If you're 2, you're kind of like, I'm toeing the waters. I'm going to recommend that you pick a poem, maybe the Ode to the Present like we just read or some other poem, and you kind of try to mirror it. You know, take its structure. If it compares to a fruit, you compare it to a fruit. And then you can go back and change that if it's awkward. You know, you get to decide how strictly you mirror it. But that might be a good scaffold. If you're of the first camp, like, this is intimidating or this isn't my favorite, you're going to journal. Here's the thing. There is prose poems, which means it looks like a paragraph, but it's using rich language and literary techniques. There's also something called found poems. So if you journal, what you can do is sift through that and take out the pieces, those lines and phrases that like, got you, turn those into a future poem, right? Your choice. And you know what? Be fluid about it. You might start journaling and then say, wow, I have something here. I'm inspired. Switch to writing a poem. Or you might start writing a poem, feel stuck, journal to get ideas. Or maybe you start following the craft of somebody else's poem, and then it no longer works for you. I'm not going to tell you which to do or what's more important. I am going to say that you make the choice, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I did put the link to Neruda's poem, but you'd probably do better just searching Ode to the Present, Neruda. Anyways, enough of me. Time for you. Today we are going to do, let's do a 3-minute stint right now. So get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. If you're stuck, remember, go to your original brainstorms. You have all kinds of metaphors and ideas and words to pull from there. This always happens. So your 3 minutes is up, but if you're like me and you can't stop, pause it or just keep going and ignore the timer for a moment. Creativity is like that. Okay, I'm going to pause here. But I am going to go back because I felt inspired. And at the end of the day, every day, that's what I hope. That you're inspired for something. Whether it's something as small and as significant as getting out of bed, or something huge like putting positive energy and action into changing the world around you, or anything in between. That's what we're all about. We're also about sticking to schedules, and it has been 30 minutes, so I'm going to call that good for our class today. But please remember, whatever you just wrote in 3 minutes is the seed of a draft. If you do choose to participate in the Fine Arts Festival, I believe it's due, see, I wrote it down. I want to say August 18th sounds right. But you have time. And like I said, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I would love to hear what you have to say about recovery in this particular activity. I'd like to be a part of revising and working with you on your own writing. It brings me great joy. And I appreciate all of you for taking time on whatever day you happen to be watching this video. It means a lot to me. And we're not just here for our videos. Recovery is a sober, active community. You know, it's the action that brought us here as staff members and volunteers, and it's the action that we want to focus on. So yes, these videos are great and we genuinely enjoy doing them, but it's the real acts of service that are at the heart of our organization. So remember that we are here to serve you. And also, if you or someone you know is struggling and could use a little help on their journey, we do have outreach engagement specialists. So these are peers that are trained. They have their certification as peer recovery advocates, and they just walk with the humans who reach out to them through their recovery journeys. No judgment, no fixing, no telling them what to do, just helping them get to the resources that they need and being a support for them in their time of need. So again, if you or someone you know is interested in that, please pass on our phone number, 622-4975, or just go ahead and message us on Facebook. With all of that talking, I'm going to say thank you and have a great day.